Hey, it's the Mike Rogers Show here with you, Mike Rogers, with my very, very, very old and I think my dearest friend, Mr. Phester Swollen, who was in the Rogers, and he's telling us about coming to Japan. Can you continue with what you were telling us yesterday, Tom?
Okay. It's, well, if y'all remember, I was leaving Japan. So we got to, we had a manager, Mr. Konishi. I don't know what his first name was. Konishi Yaro or something like that. and he wanted me to stay because there were these other bands that he wanted me to play in.
I mean, wait, let me qualify that. So Konishi-san was the manager of like very famous bands in Japan, and the Rogers had played, and he thought all of us were terrible except Tom. I mean, Phester. So he wanted Phester to be a studio musician for these country bands, these blues bands. Now, you guys might think that in Japan, it's you know, it's not widely popular, but there's a very niche audience for this kind of music, and they are hardcore fans, very hardcore.
Yeah.
So, okay, so Konishi-san tries to talk Tom out of leaving Japan and invites him to a show. Tom shows up 40 minutes late. He gets to the show, and he realizes that the audience, the place is sold out. The audience and even the band are waiting for him to sit down to watch the show. Okay, so go ahead, go from there.
Yeah, that was it. That was true. And it didn't really, actually at the time, it didn't occur to me that they were holding up the show for me. It didn't occur to me. It's like, wow, guess we got here just in time, you know.
You know, you do realize backstage and stuff, those guys were freaking out. They were freaking out. Yeah, they were freaking. I mean, this is like a Japan-U.S. war crisis type of conversation with the Japanese. Where is this guy? Where is this guy? Konishi-san, you're going to lose your job.
Anyway, the guy did classic Hank Williams songs, and he spoke, like I said yesterday, just absolutely perfect American country hillbilly English.
Wow.
I can't do it, you know, but you know, it's kind of like this. He could speak perfect hillbilly. And I had never met any Japanese person that spoke perfect English. At first, I thought it was a well-practiced act, but by the end of the show, I'm like, no, I think this is real. So the show ends. Konishi takes us backstage, and I meet this guy, Jimmy Dokta. And Konishi introduces me and says, yeah, this guy's a really great guitar player. I want him to play in all these bands, and he can do all this country stuff. And I looked at Jimmy and I said, how long did you live in the United States? And he said, oh, shoot, I moved there when I was like 17, and I went to Nashville, and I stayed there for 47 years. And yeah, I played with Ernest Tubbs, and I knew Waylon and Johnny, and it's like, oh my God, you're for real. You know, I was just blown away. And so, of course, you know, I had this golden once in a lifetime opportunity. And I came back to America.
Oh,
you know, it's sort of funny. The Rogers, my trip through the Rogers have had two golden opportunities that musicians die to get, and they never have. You know, one was Sit on My Face, Stevie Nicks, which was in rotation on KROQ, on Rodney's show, and the whole station. And, you know, if we had replaced Rip and Johnny and and
Stevie Nicks
got a van and drove around the country, we would have been a huge punk band. And the funny thing is that decades later, I did get a hold of Dionysus Records, did release all that shit. Well, anyway, so that was the first golden opportunity that was blown. And then I had this shot to be a really successful, well-paid studio musician.
You would have gotten paid
playing live.
You would have gotten paid a lot of money.
A lot of money. And I would have been playing live too. And
okay, so I want to talk about Sit on My Face, Stevie Nicks. So but before I talk about that, I gotta tell you something that I'm sure I didn't tell you. I never told you this. This guy who used to run a record store in Los Angeles, he contacted me and he told me this story. He said that we used to have every Saturday, like, one record, like a recommended record. And on this wall, we would have just like 100 singles there. And one day Stevie Nicks walked in and she was kind of,
oh, really?
So she started demanding that the record store remove all those records. And she yelled at the guy at the counter, and this was the guy who was telling me this. He said he had to go get he didn't have the authority to do that. So he had to get the manager. So he got the manager there. The manager came out and said, no, that's the planned sale thing. We've already promoted it. So until those records sell out, they're not coming down. So Stevie Nicks bought all 100 of the records. She bought 100 of the records, and this was right, after they opened, bought all 100 of the records, took them out, and threw them in the trash. So that record becoming so famous and rare is a little bit thanks to Stevie Nicks. And this is a true story. The guy sent me a clipping from a magazine about that. Tell us how that song got written. What inspired you? Was it the Tusk album?
No, not Tusk. Well, it was, we'd started the band and this was like, okay, I'm going to write a bunch of songs. I'm just going to sit down and crank a bunch out. I mean, it's punk rock.
Yeah.
we're not writing Beethoven here or spaz jazz or anything.
Yeah.
It's punk rock. We need material.
That's right.
Simple as that. We need material. And I think I wrote like half a dozen songs in about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of them. I like to say that I think it takes longer to play that song than I spent writing it. At the time, Fleetwood Mac was at the top of the pop world.
Oh yeah, top of the.
They were at the pinnacle. Okay, but yeah, you're okay. But it's not rock and roll, and it's definitely not what punk rock stood for. It was the antithesis of punk rock.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that, she was on the cover of both of those first two albums, not because she was anything special, as much as how pretty she was.
Mm-hmm.
They were using her sex appeal to sell the band, which, it's offensive, whether you look good or not. It's offensive. So that's what I was really writing about. Tell me something.
This is true. You mentioned that she's on the cover of those first two records.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So you're talking about Fleetwood Mac's first two albums. She was on the cover.
Yeah, the ones that the Fleetwood Mac with Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks.
Mm-hmm.
Those two first albums. One was called Fleetwood Mac, which was kind of weird because Fleetwood Mac had been around since the 60s and had something like 700 albums before them.
Mm-hmm. You say you wrote the song in a couple of minutes?
Yeah, I just cranked it out.
Did you think that was a hit song when you wrote it?
No. You didn't either. I remember I remember bringing it to practice. It's like, okay, here's these songs I learned. Let's learn this one. And everybody, you included, like,
Yeah,
but we don't really like it. No, I know it sucks, but what else are we going to play?
No, I remember that day, and you brought the song, and I listened to it, and I thought, I don't really like this, because I just hated Fleetwood Mac, so I didn't want her name in it.
Yeah.
And so I wanted somebody else's name in it and stuff like that. But you were like, no. It's gotta be her. It can't be Olivia Neutron Bomb or what was the other lady who was popular?
I'd
Linda
actually
Ronstadt.
I'd considered Linda Ronstadt, but I like Linda Ronstadt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for this interview. Talk to you next week. Okay, so we started playing the song.
Yeah, we played some shows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we did those shows in Isla Vista in Santa Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
Those free shows.
I remember that first show in Isla Vista, that was with the United Snakes.
Spiderweb and the United Snakes.
Yeah. And so the whole place was just packed. And then these Christians came and were demonstrating. I don't know what they were demonstrating about, but they turned the power off.
Yeah, they turned the power off. We got pelted with beer cans and debris, and they had to hose the stage off when we were done. Those were the glory days of punk.
But I really do think, and I remember when that was over, thinking like, we're great.
Ripcord got into a fight with a guy in the audience who kept grabbing at his bass.
We played a few shows, and then we realized that this song's a hit.
People were telling us that it was great. And then we recorded more stuff. We did the real recordings at Moorpark College. And
wait a minute, you should tell about Moorpark College, because people won't believe that we got in there, used the studio for free, got it mastered for free. Everything was free.
Everything for free. It was a 2-year junior college.
Mm-hmm.
And it was it's a very cool college. Kind of inland and north of Los Angeles.
Yeah, like Moorcore, you know?
Yeah. You know, so it was easy to weasel into the recording class. They've got this, it's still there. They've got this great facility. It was high tech at the time. They had 4 tracks.
Wow.
On their tape recorder. 4. And the students hated us. But the teacher, Richard Simpson, he told us one day, it's like, you know, you guys aren't any good, but you have fun. And that's all that matters, because that's what comes across. Said, if you want to do a single, it'll only cost you like $500, and I'll master it for free, because that's what I do for, this teaching here at Moorpark's just a side job. We talked about, well, what do we do? What do we put on? And, well, I guess there's only one choice. It's Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
Sit on my face, Stevie Nicks, because everyone loves it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't.
We took the record and we gave it to Rodney Bingenheimer. But how did we give it to him? Did we go to...
You need to let me tell this, because I remember this like it happened yesterday.
Okay. I don't even remember yesterday what I had for breakfast yesterday. Mm-hmm.
It was December of 78. We had this test pressing of Stevie Nicks. Mm-hmm. And we drove down to Pasadena, where KROQ had their studio. Mm-hmm. But we went down there and we went to a phone booth. We mm-hmm. called KROQ's request line. It had to ring and ring and ring and ring forever. We stood there with that phone ringing for half an hour. Mm. You called them. Mm-hmm. Finally, they picked up, and you get Rodney. It's like, hey, this is Rodney. What do you want to hear? And you come in, you came in and said, "Hey, Rodney, it's Nigel from the Rogers, and yeah, we're down here, and we got our test pressing, and we want to bring it by." And he said, "Yeah, sure, come on down." So, we drove over to the studio, which was on the top floor of like a fairly small 2-story office building.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't get in. It's like, well, how do you get in? Everything's locked up. There's no lobby. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's no way in. And we're just like, oh man, there's no way in hell we're going to get in here. You said, wait a minute, let me go around back. And you went around back. The rest of us waited in front on the street, went around back, and there were a bunch of people standing there.
Mm-hmm.
And you thought, okay, these guys must supposedly are here for a reason. They're going to let them in.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just stand here and wait. They'll open the door. I'll walk in. And that is exactly what happened. They let him in. You came, leaned out the front window and said, "Hey guys, come around back. I'll let you in." I got in. So we got in.
That's when
and it turns out
incredible.
It turns out these people that Mike snuck in to karaoke with were the Ramones and Clem Burke, the drummer for Blondie. We met the Ramones. I distinctly remember Dee Dee Ramone. He came up to us and he goes, "Hi, I'm Dee Dee Ramone. You got any drugs?" I'm like, well, no, but oh God. Then they put us on. They put the record on. They played the record. They put us on the radio live in the studio with the Ramones, Rodney, the Ramones, me and Mike, and they said, "Well, do you have any questions for the Ramones?" And Mike asked Joey what he thought of eel flagellation. Joey went, "I have no idea what you're talking about." Ramones are cool. But then, and this is the stupidest thing we've ever done. Then Rodney said, "Well, okay, so do you guys like the Ramones?" "All right, you're on the air. It's a business. What do you say?" "Oh, yeah, they're great. We love the Ramones. They're the best. They fucking rock. We're so honored to be here." Blah, 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 blah. All this crap. Mike and I looked at each other and went, well, yeah, they're cool. We like the Sex Pistols.
Oh, yeah.
That's how stupid we were. So Rodney goes, yeah, Sex Pistols. Yeah, they're cool. We're going to break for a commercial. Turned off the mic. And then the engineer looked at us and said, "You guys got to leave now." And we got kicked out.
I remember that little incident quite well. And when you said, you and I looked at each other, we just like, I remember that quite well. And I was so surprised that you said, and I said at the same time, we like the Sex Pistols.
Simultaneously.
And then as soon as we said that, the Ramones were all like, oh no.
We invented punk.
Yeah, that was a good time.
We got kicked out of KROQ before it was cool to get kicked out of KROQ.
Yeah. And then the next day something happened and somebody called us or told us like we're getting requests like crazy.
I've met people from Southern California punk bands that heard that and decided they wanted to play in a punk band.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, famous one.
Well, it's good. I'd always dreamed of being a rock star and an influencer. And Rodney told me, I would go work for Rodney a year later or something like that. But Rodney,
he's afraid of you.
Why is that?
I don't know. I'm not.
Rodney told me that the Rotters sit on my face, Stevie Nicks, was the most requested song in history at K-Rock? Well, I don't know. 99 Luftballons was pretty good, you know.
No, it's not Luftballons. It's Luftballons. Luftballons. 99 Luftballons.
Yeah. Okay, so those were great times, Tom.
Yeah.
The only regret I have was not kicking those two assholes out of the band and going up and playing opening for the Nuns. That's the only regret. But I would meet, Jack White years later, and he would tell me I love that band, and I that's one of the reasons why I got into music and stuff. I still have that record. That just
wow.
I was just like, really?
Yeah, give me his number after we're done here. Yeah.
Okay.
Give him a call. Hey, Jack, Phester here. Who?
He knew all sorts of things. He told me it was on Rotten Records. I didn't remember that. So
hey, you can call me Fest.
What are you doing now?
Hey, I bought a bass.
Oh, really? What for?
Recording.
Oh, wow. Is that
it
a Sears?
Horns.
Is that a Sears model or what? What is that?
Dan Electro.
Are you recording now? Recording a record now? It's time to promote your next work. That's what we're doing. So stick with me here, Mr. Swollen.
Yeah, you're going to get it first. Absolutely first.
No, and even if it's terrible, I have a show that I can play it.
Oh, it won't be terrible unless you want me to record something terrible and send it to you. I can do that.
Okay,
I have 45 years of sucking.
So, well, what kind of music is your new recording?
The new band, which has yet to play, is called the Phester Swollen Inexperience.
Oh.
Inexperience.
Yeah.
And the idea is that since I really don't want to go touring much, the idea is that each album, each show be totally different material. Since COVID came and I'm locked in the room, I've been doing the recording myself.
Do you play the drums?
No.
Oh,
that's
okay.
one that no. That's no. I can hit a trash can with a stick or a spoon or something. But, no, I do have a drummer and have to arrange a time when we can get together.
This Phester Swollen Inexperience, is this a blues band, a rock band?
Yes,
it's a blues.
First album got all the basic tracks recorded.
Oh,
and they are pretty much traditional blues songs. So all but one, I mean, they're covers, but I'm not trying to copy the guy that played it and made it famous, or copy the guy that the version that people have heard, and some of them, a good half of them, you can hear and go, this guy must have been in a punk rock band, because this is just too, Jack White would love it.
Oh,
Jack White would love it. There's a lot of stuff that's pretty noisy. I think really slick and good. I do a B.B. King song called Worried Dream. I do a couple original Fleetwood Mac songs, like Peter Green era Fleetwood Mac.
That's a good idea for promotion. You put the record out, Phester Swollen's Inexperience, the guy from the Rogers, and then you do a Peter Green song. You'll get sued by Fleetwood Mac, and then you'll sell records like crazy.
Yeah, but this time I've got an attorney.
Yes, good job.
In the biz.
Right. When is this record going to come out?
Next year.
Next year.
It's a very peaceful, melancholy instrumental.
Okay,
that's the other thing, is that I've gotten
older.
I've gotten more
mature,
refined.
Oh, I see. just like
it's my CRS kicking in. I can't remember shit. I don't know what it is.
It's like
I've gotten older.
Well, listen, Tom, this has been great. I mean, Phester, sorry about that. Phester, this has been great. Great walk down memory lane, a bunch of stuff that I didn't even remember. And
well, we can do it again, and I can remind you of more things that you don't want to remember.
So when your record comes out, you got to come back and be on this show and promote your record. And we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
All right. So anyways, it's been the Mike Rogers Show. Our guest today, Mr. Phester Swollen, former Rogers, and now the leader of the Phester Swollen Inexperience. This has been the Mike Rogers Show. If you like the show, go down here, click like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Swollen.
Thank you. Be seeing ya.